What started as a simple call out on Instagram turned into this. A room full of women who walked in as strangers and left as friends. It's called a real friends meetup, and we are eager to learn more. Creator of these events, Kristen Morgan, is joining me. It's so great to meet you.
Thank you for having me.
Look what you've done. Look what you've created. This is fantastic. And I don't want to land too light because it's also so needed. Like, women need these connections. I know you feel that. So I want to hear it from your lens. What is a real friends meetup?
So it was born out of me moving to Utah a couple years ago and being worried about making friends and finding connection.
Yeah.
And so I kind of halfway joked on my Instagram, who wants to be my friend? And I was getting all these responses from women who are looking for the same thing, some that have lived here forever, some that are new. And so on a whim one day I said, hey, I'm gonna be at this restaurant at this time for lunch, come and meet me. And over 25 women showed up, strangers.
I kind of have chills to think that 25 women were like, meet you there, sister, and really wanted to be there.
I know,
I mean, not because, no, sorry, let me backpedal. Not because you weren't fabulous and I don't want to be your friend too, but because the idea, I think, of engaging beyond the screen is sometimes really scary.
Yes, they had to be pretty brave.
Yeah, that does take courage as an adult. And we coach our kids all the time. My sisters and I talk. We coach our kids all the time, like, go for it. Make a friend. Just ask, you know? In fact, my sister has a memory of my mom, who was a kindergarten teacher, which only aided in her encouragement and how she raised us. But my sister jokes that she remembers my mom telling her, just walk up to someone, Lindsay, and say, will you be my friend? And one day Lindsay was like, can we do that as adults? But you did that.
I did that.
It worked out.
It really did.
Will you be my friend? What activities have you done so far? That kind of continued, the pattern of connection continued.
Absolutely. So we meet periodically. It's a little bit random, but we've mostly done lunches. We've done some evening activities for women that work, dinners. There's no agenda. It's just come,
show up,
eat, show up and laugh and connect. We had a spa day out at Awesome Relaxation and Spa, and then I've done a couple up on BYU campus, one with Education Week, and then most recently BYU Women's Conference asked me to host one there on campus for women that came alone.
I think that's fantastic.
It's fun. Any
especially sweet or meaningful stories, experiences, relationships that have come out of these meetups?
So many, but personally, I can think of a couple that are really special. So one is my friend Sue. She was one of the very first people when I moved here to Utah to reach out to me on Instagram, and then came to the first meetup, and she's come since, and we've become really good friends. In fact, my daughter got married just on Friday, and she and her husband came to the reception. And like, we've met for lunch, and it's just an example of, it started on Instagram, but it's evolved into real friendship. And then another one that was so fun was I was able to reconnect with my childhood babysitter.
What?
Yes. So she lives here in the area and saw that I had posted.
She's like, I know you.
I know. I hadn't seen her in 45 years. So my sister and I were able to reconnect as adults, which was so fun. And we've met since.
Oh, I love it. I love it so much. We've asked you to maybe pinpoint some things you've learned from this experience that might hopefully encourage other women to seek out connections in real life, just like you did. And the first is this level of openness. You think if we're open as women, it's more likely to happen and to take off.
Absolutely. So I always tell people, like, be open to possibilities. I think any interaction is a chance for connection or friendship, and don't discount someone because you think they're different. My next door neighbor and I are completely different on about every level, but we become really good friends. So don't discount someone because, you know, their marital status is different, or they have kids and you don't, or, you know, your religion's different, or your race. You know, just be open. You never know what's going to happen.
As I marvel at those 24 plus women who joined you, it makes me think that more of us are in the same boat than we realize, meaning more of us are looking around and hoping for friends.
Yes. So when I started receiving these responses, I decided to put out a poll on my social media, and my husband and I have since done one with the groups that we've talked to. And out of hundreds, if not thousands of responses, over 70% of women were reporting that they feel lonely. So clearly there's a need, and I think that this is you know, filling a small part of that need.
I was chatting with a girlfriend recently, and she was asked to take a leadership position over the women in her church, her congregation. And I said, what's the pulse early on in this position, this calling? How are you feeling? And she goes, they live in a rather affluent area. And she said, you know, there aren't needs, there's just loneliness.
It's so true. I mean, the Surgeon General in 2023, I think, declared a loneliness epidemic in this country.
Yeah, you feel that. You feel that. You say women should set their expectations. What do you mean by that?
So I'll hear from women that are a little frustrated that they haven't found like their best friend. And I think they're looking around and they're thinking everyone has this best friend that they do everything with and they call all the time.
Yeah, the
and they
bestie.
chat with. Yeah, the bestie, right? And some women have that. They're fortunate to have that.
Which I should say, we don't use that word at my house. That's
bestie?
Yeah,
That's a
we
bad
don't.
word.
Well, I just think it's exclusive, right?
It
like
is
you can have more than one
exclusive.
bestie. Anyway, go on.
Absolutely. And so I like to look at it as a tapestry. So we have all these threads of connection that if we weave them all together, it's going to create, kind of this fullness of friendship. So, you might have friends at work that are different than your friends at church, that are different than your neighbors.
Yes.
But all of those things together can kind of fill that need. So if you're looking for that one person, that might be challenging, but I think you can get your needs met by various threads.
That's so wise. That's so wise. I love it. Finally, 30 seconds. You say, be bold, be brave. Like we said, we tell our kids that they can do this. You can do this too.
Absolutely. Just take a chance. I mean, women show up, strangers show up, and they're nervous, but they always leave glad that they came.
Aren't you glad that you did this?
I am so glad. It's been such a blessing.
So are we.
Fun.
A blessing to so many women. And now hopefully you kind of feel that tingle of inspiration to maybe start your own meetup. Or how can we be part of yours?
The best way to find me is on Instagram at Kristen Morgan.
Kristen Morgan. We will link you from our website if you want to even just peek in and think about it for a minute and see how these women are, again, jumping off the screen and finding those real life friendships. I'm inspired by you, sister. I think you're helping a lot of women. So thanks for that.
Thanks.